Talking Reds, Wednesday the 13th of December. I'm Gareth Roberts, this is Craig Hannan, and tonight the Reds play at Anfield against West Brom. So we're going to talk about that first of all, because, you know, that's what we're all here for, isn't it, to talk about the Reds. First off, Klopp did his press conference yesterday. We did a show straight after called Team Talk, talking about what he talked about. One of the things that come out of that though, and you know, they do, just in case you don't know, they do two sort of bits of the press conference. So there's the bit you see on the telly, the bit you see on LFC TV or YouTube or whatever, and then there's a bit they save for the papers. So the bit that they've saved, so we only get to see this morning or sort of 10:30 at night if you're trawling the internet to see that. In that bit, he was asked more about the rotation policy again, Klopp. And he talked about it, he said about Mo Salah that he actually felt a tightness in his hamstring, and that was the reason for taking him off the pitch against Everton. That obviously means he could be rested tonight, depending on how he's feeling. Klopp also defended the policy, really. He said he couldn't understand why people are going on about it so much. He says it's informed by sports science, and that with 7 games in 21 days, which is now 6 in 18, they have to do it. The thing is, though, that it's obviously racked up, you know, in the papers today, they've racked it up against sort of other clubs, and Liverpool have made 59 changes so far. Some of them down to injury, a lot of them through choice, though. And the next club down from that's West Ham 39, then Chelsea 38, Southampton 36, so 20 more changes than any other club. And the bit that I thought was interesting, Craig, was where he talked about rhythm in the press conference, and straight away I thought, hang on, I remember him talking about this last season, and what he talked about then was when he stuck to a more rigid, not an 11, but you know, he wasn't rotating as much as he is this time. When players were coming in and maybe not performing to the same level as the rest of the team, he was talking about players not having rhythm. Yeah. So I think it's not just about rotation and fitness and about having minutes in legs, but it's also that players can come in and have this rhythm that he's talking about. They're not coming in cold, they're used to playing with some of the other players.
Yeah, I can see what he means there. Rhythm, to me, we see Coutinho score a hat-trick in midweek and then he's rested, and rhythm for me is when a player is on the up and they're performing like that you get them out the next week because they're in the rhythm of scoring, they're in the rhythm of playing well. But Klopp knows better than I do, and if he's working with sports scientists, then you know he's going to have the inside track on it. It's interesting that it's 20 more changes than West Ham, who's second. They will have a bigger squad as well than West Ham, so you know we should see the benefits of it. And if you know over the next 2 games, if we win tonight and we beat Bournemouth, well, Klopp will look back on the Christmas period so far and say, well, it's working, because you know we might draw against Everton and Chelsea. We've won the rest. I think we've won every league game since Tottenham, bar those two. So
Chelsea as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. But so apart from Chelsea and Everton, he will argue that it's gone well, and he's probably right. That is a good run. It is just frustrating for us that it's the 2 games that we probably care most about that we've seen the changes in.
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk of ruthlessness again. I mean, obviously Liverpool did dominate against Everton, and you know there's talk about have they been ruthless. But when you look at this run we've been on, they've been pretty ruthless. There's been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals against lots of teams that maybe traditionally Liverpool have struggled against. So in terms of ruthlessness, I don't expect that it's all disappeared just because we draw with Everton. And tonight we're playing West Brom, who it's absolute doom and gloom for West Brom at the moment. I've been having a look. Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace, for God's sake, are now out of the relegation zone after 2 late goals last night. Beat Watford 2-1. And that means they've now leapfrogged West Brom, and West Brom are in the relegation zone. They're winless in 14 games. They've appointed Alan Pardew, who's an absolute bell. And he's been in charge of 2 of those games. And no joy so far. They lost to Swansea City, and before that they drew with Palace 0-0. He's tried to change a few things. He's had to go with 3 up front. He's talked about wanting goals. I mean, obviously he's got to come in and do something different and try something different and say something different to Pulis, because basically they got rid of him because they didn't like the football and didn't like the way it was going and didn't like the results. So Pardew's got to rock in there and say something. I'm a bit surprised. Rob Gutman's preview for the AnfieldWrap.com of this game, he talks of quite liking Pardew, and he talks of him even being a bit of a silver fox. Now, I think it's worth saying here that the Anfield Wrap is a broad church of opinion. You know, you see me and Craig on Talking Reds most days. You probably, you know, you're getting a grip of what our opinion is, but we've got so many contributors. There's no editorial line. People say what they think and write what they think. And Rob thinks he's all right. Me, I've got him down as a dad dancing bullshitter, a fella who headbutted David Mailer, who had all those.
Seems a nice lad.
He had all those run-ins with Wenger as well, and you know the Geordies don't like him. I don't know who does like him apart from Rob.
We're gonna have to call Rob into some sort of meeting and chat to him about that. I don't like Pardew at all. The dancing in the FA Cup
I'm not even doing an impression of it.
And then he went on to get beat, and it's like, you know, like, and that was United beating him, and there was a little part of me thought, you know what, I'm happy that Pardew got beat there after doing that.
After that dance.
He does my head in. And I think one of the things that Pardew, when Pardew comes into a new club, is he's able to create this bounce effect, and he's able to come in and change things positively almost right away. But so far he's kind of struggled in the first two games, and long may that continue.
Well, Liverpool are unbeaten in the last 8 against West Brom, 1-4, drawn 4, and they're unbeaten in the last 14 at Anfield, a game which just sort of emphasises that for all, you know, that every now and then heads fall off around the draw, and it was because it was Everton, and it was because of the nature of that game. Actually, we've been doing all right. The game's previewed in detail in the show. I mentioned Team Talk. That's already out for subscribers to Tour Player. If you don't subscribe, go along to our website, theanfieldwrap.com/subscribe. Sign up, £5 a month, loads of shows. And there'll be more shows today. There's a Pink straight after the game, our post-match show. Basically, we all leg it to town, get in the studio and give our raw opinions straight after the game. Hopefully we're talking about a big win for Liverpool. Wildcards is also out today, which is where people vote for what they want us to talk about on that podcast. It was a good one as well. I was on that one. I'm not saying it was good because I was on it. I was hosting it and it was good. Just before you know, you're saying I've got a big, massive head on that. Also, before we go over to the papers, like we do every day, our shop, Craig, you've got some details about the Anfield Wrap merch.
Yeah, if you've left it late for Christmas, like I do every Christmas, and I can tell you do.
I do definitely.
It's last orders for guaranteed delivery for US and Canada tomorrow. I think the UK's is Monday, so you've got a little bit of time left yet. But get on there, there's t-shirts, mugs and so on. Alright,
next up the papers. Alright then, today's newspapers in England today. The Mail, the weird Mail. Who buys the Mail apart from me to do this show? Anyway, the Mail is getting dead excited, as it does, about the very fact that Burnley beat Stoke last night in the 89th minute with a goal from Ashley Barnes. And that means they've stormed above Liverpool, Arsenal and Spurs, and Burnley are 4th. Woo! I mean, thing is, lads, like they've played the game more than the Reds, haven't they? And like when the Reds win tonight, they won't be 4th anymore. No. I mean, no, in all seriousness, obviously they're doing well. Their highest place in the league since 1975, after that 89th minute winner. They've won 1-0 6 times this season. So the question before we buzz off their manager is,
I know what's going on.
Are you a little bit worried about Burnley just, you know, knocking about and looking to sneak in the top 4?
No.
No?
No, I'm not.
No?
No, I'd imagine, look, the thing with the top 4 is they've got bigger squads, and they've got squads that come March, April and come the business end of the season, they can continue to do the business. And I think
everyone said that about Leicester, though.
I know, but I just think Burnley. You know what? I was actually looking at Burnley's squad, and it's like Sean Dyche has done a hell of a job. I can't believe Evertonians were turning their nose up at the thought of him, because he is doing a hell of a job, despite some of his post-match comments, Gareth.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, look, they've done well, and like it's quite a romantic story, isn't it? You know, battling with the big boys, getting right up there, upsetting people. They drew with us. They beat Chelsea, didn't they? Did they draw at Spurs as well? You know, they've got some decent results this season, not just 1-0s everywhere. But Sean Dyche, I mean, he is quite likeable, isn't he? And you know, he's becoming the highly rated English manager, which is what this country always does about managers that get a few decent results. But post-match comment, Sean, he said, you ready?
I don't think the viewers are, Gareth.
I'm prouder than the proudest man from Proudsville. I mean,
fucking sack him right now, Burnley.
That's your resignation letter, Sean. Walk away from football. We'll just call it quits. And, you know,
Proudsville.
See you in a bit, mate. Proudsville? What?
I hope they get relegated. I hope they get relegated.
All right, in other news, also in the Mail today is news. Well, the Mail and other newspapers has mentioned this particular
Becoming
story.
an avid Mail reader, Gareth, aren't
Well, it's just easy to laugh at, really, isn't it? I mean, because they go so over the top about Everton. They do a lot of football as well. I'm never looking at the front part of the paper, by the way, because it's a Tory rag that causes a lot of problems, and it's just chat shit. In the back, though, I think it's perfectly feasible that we have a laugh at them. And I can't find the story. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here we go. So it's this story. Come on, you bastard. That Big Sam cancels Everton's Christmas.
What a headline.
Now this is in a few of the papers, and it turns out that Scrooge McSam has cancelled Everton's Pardew. He said to the players that they can't go out. I mean, I wondered whether this is basically to make everyone miserable so that they can play miserable football like they did at Anfield, but that's just my theory. What Sam's actually said is, I've stopped the Christmas party because it's not needed at the moment. Well, it's Christmas though, mate, so it probably is needed at the moment. But he says it's not needed at the moment because of the position we're in when I arrived here. I told the players I will pay them back when they come out of Christmas into January. We will socialise, but we can socialise at the right time. It's very important that the players in today's environment with social media are not seen to be out enjoying themselves too much. Now, can fans not accept that these lads are human and that if they go and have a Pardew, it has absolutely no bearing on the relegation fight or whatever that they're in? I mean, imagine I said to you, Craig, okay, had a look at the subscribers there, mate. We got you on board at the Wrap to do marketing, and frankly, not good enough. You're not coming to Christmas do on Friday. But me and the boys are. See you later. Would you feel motivated?
No, I wouldn't at all. And I've loved all the stories you hear about Jürgen Klopp last year and the season before. I think they got beaten by Bournemouth last year. Was it Bournemouth? It was anyway. They were beaten. All the players were down, and Klopp said, "No, we still celebrate. We still go out." I don't get that. At the end of the day, how is that going to motivate them? You need a little bit more morale where they are on the table at the moment. I think that's Big Sam's hangover talking after celebrating the big draw at the weekend. He's been celebrating for a couple of nights, drinking ale in one hand and gravy in the other, and he's had enough.
Doing the backstroke in a bath of Bisto, I imagine. That's how I imagine Big Sam post-derby.
Don't get that at all.
Okay, so yeah, you miserable beaut. Okay, so the last one, back onto the Reds. In the Mirror, in the Football Spy, the original gossip column, is what they call it.
Nice.
And they say, in the original gossip column, that Liverpool and Arsenal will make renewed attempts to sign Thomas Lemar from Monaco in January. Now, they say that Liverpool offered, they say, £79.5 million in the summer, with Arsenal offering £88.3 million for the 22-year-old France midfielder. Also talk that Chelsea could come in as well, and Monaco are out of Europe and they're 9 points behind PSG in the league. Now, he's predominantly left-sided midfielder, this lad. I think some people will look at this rumour and go, why would you go for this lad? In fact, why was he even going for the lad at the end of last summer? Because, I don't know, you know, people are going to dot join. People are going to dot join and they're going to say, Coutinho. If Liverpool are in for him, Coutinho's going.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm all for him coming in January. If we can get him, I would get him in because obviously he's a target that Klopp likes and they've obviously looked at him for a while. But I would get him in on the premise that we still keep Coutinho and that gives him 5 or 6 months to bed in. And then, because the last thing you want to be doing is letting Coutinho go. First of all, because there'll be uproar. Second of all, second of all, Lemar comes in, there's so much pressure on his shoulders just to come in and replace Coutinho, isn't there, right away?
As well.
While if you give him 5 or 6 months to bed in, then it makes it easier for him next season. I think that's just an easy story for someone to write. It's got, what's it got, like a tenth of the page there. It's got absolutely nothing, and I think they've just thought, right, well, these two teams were after Lemar in the summer. It's an easy story for us to stick out.
Don't knock the gossip though, Craig, because we do have the Gutter Show, of course.
I'm just sceptical.
We're going to be ramping up the Gutter Shows on the Anfield app, which is the show where we discuss transfer gossip. As it gets ever closer to January, there will be more and more of this type of talk. And on the Gutter, I think they're quite sensible about it. Rob gets really excited like a small child.
It's good fun, isn't it?
Like it's Christmas. And then other people say, that's not going to happen though, Rob, is it? And there's a bit of a debate. It's a good show, it's a well-liked show, and we'll be doing lots and lots of them in the run-up to the transfer window. So stick with the Anfield app. Little weather report for you. It's absolutely pissing down outside in Liverpool right now. It's also a bit warmer. So, I don't know how any of that impacts the match, but I thought you might like a little bit of a weather forecast at the end of today's Talking Reds. That has been Talking Reds.